thick of Unfun Ultimate right there, because what I felt is that they would have played to their own individual strengths here, perhaps try to draw out the game a little bit, but they got a bit impatient and they, just played right into the hands of Zotac 269 and gave them what really worked out for them, which is the early to mid game. Then Zotac 269 just snowball out of control. So coming to the second game, let's see if there's going to be any sort of changes whatsoever. And it looks like the very first one coming in will be that Nidalee first pick for APU.
Quite interesting. I was thinking that one of the adaptations for Unfun Ultimate would be to ban away the Zac, because they clearly didn't know how to deal with that. But it looks like they won't be going for that kind of strategy. They do pick up the Nidalee for themselves. I do think that will be in the jungle. Tarzan, though, didn't have the most proficient game the first time he brought out the Nidalee in Group Stage 2. So we'll have to see whether or not Unfun Ultimate have... touched back or, kind of gotten it together. But they're pulling out quite a few new things here. The Nidalee, as we mentioned, only brought out one time, at least in the GPL itself. Kog'Maw and Orianna, again, not things that we've seen Unfun Ultimate bring out. And this is, in fact, an even, I would argue, later composition.
Yep.
A later game composition than what we saw in game number 1. I'm very worried for Unfun Ultimate, especially with 269 picking up the Graves first pick. Just means they say, alright, we're just going to channel that, burst from Graves in the early and mid game. And Unfun Ultimate, they haven't picked the composition to be ready against that. Again, there's so much lockdown available to 269. The Leona pickup in the second rotation for 269 again signals this fact that 269 are really just going to be channeling the power of this Graves. The Azir would set them back a little bit due to the fact that Azir's power levels have been hit quite drastically, even though he's slowly been getting a bit of love from the buffs.
Okay.
Zac locked in, no question about that whatsoever. But this Azir, wow, very, very interesting.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. Okay, I believe the Azir pick right here is to just
deal with the Orianna?
Deal with the Orianna. Just straight up picked to deal with the Orianna. And Unfun Ultimate, they have two choices here. I was about to say they either go for the Lulu, and I'm going to explain why later, or go for a second damage dealer to complete their composition. And as to take us time now, I'm just going to explain why that's going to be the case. If you have been following the competitive scene, for our viewers who have been watching maybe the LCS or the Korean scene, this is the famous Juggermore strategy, which is to, with the Lulu locked in, that completes the set. You got the Nidalee, you got the Kog'Maw, you got the Lulu as well. All these guys are just the key ingredients to this Juggermore strategy. What is going to happen right here is that Unfun Ultimate is going to draw out the game. Listen to me carefully. Draw out the game past 30 minutes. Wait for B1 to get his items. And then that's where the Juggermore strategy is going to be really, really effective. Because number one, Nidalee jungle in the late game is very, very devastating. You can chunk down people with your spears.
Very true.
The heal is going to be very effective as well. That's going to keep Kog'Maw alive. And Lulu is just going to provide all sorts of utility that Kog'Maw innate as an AD carry does not necessarily have. So extra movement speed, extra shields, extra HP they need to extra peel. And it makes this, this Kog'Maw just unstoppable, and he's just going to be able to chunk down your opponents when he sees the opportunity to go for it. Problem though, we saw what happened in round number 1.
Yeah, that is exactly my very concise analysis of that. Well discussed by you, Chris. But I have to wonder a question: how different is this from kind of the overall mentality from game number 1, which is we'll just draw it out, and they clearly weren't able to do so. Now again, I think we have to be fair and say there were crucial errors in Unfun Ultimate's timing of picking their fights, and there is an argument to be made. There is a view to be had that if they had just stayed away from those fights when, especially Heaven was picking up, say, the Aegis, they might have been able to draw it out, and that might be what is kind of the mindset of Unfun Ultimate, the discussion going on among themselves right now. But I really worry for them, especially due to the fact that the Leona, especially with the Ignite, just the pickup of that champion itself with the Ignite, it's just going to be so deadly once again, the CC chain that comes in. Azir, doesn't have the greatest amount of CC on his own end, unless he can get a very nice Emperor's Divide, but it's just going to be very rough, honestly, for Unfun Ultimate. They've picked themselves into a composition that we've not seen them run ever before in Group Stage 2 as well.
That's right.
So that's something that will be working, against them. Because we've seen on Phat Ultimate, this is a team that if they are able to execute a strategy that they're comfortable and familiar with, they look absolutely fantastic. But the one time they tried to change that up a little bit with, like, say, a jungle in Italy, it didn't look good for them. It really didn't look good for them. So I have to wonder just how effective this composition for on Phat Ultimate is really going to be.
Yeah, I really like the movement from Zotac.
Oh dear.
Tarzin's gonna face check into Beyond in Heaven. Gonna take a bit of damage and move back into safety. And like I mentioned, I really like what Zotac 269 did there. Trying to spot out for the potential lane swap that Phat Ultimate is gonna pull out. So going all the way back in, gonna drop that very famous ozone ward to just spot out where Phat Ultimate is gonna go exactly. So with that, I think they are gonna see that they don't really know where Lucas is right now, but I think after a while they will understand that with B1 and Tyr not actually moving up to the top lane, this should be a normal lane setup. And the thing right here is that I think both of us are just quite skeptical of how this jungle mode strategy is going to work for Phat Ultimate, considering the fact that in game number 1 they just couldn't endure to the late game stages, and right now with Heaven playing Zac, it's just going to be so much easier for him to just move to the back lines, use that ledge bound, to reposition B1, throw him into the depths of your teammates, and then just clean off the fight right after that. The one consolation that Phat Ultimate has though is the Orianna ball and the box from Fresh as well. That's gonna help, lock down 269 for a bit. We'll have to see though. Phat Ultimate has a lot of work to do, a lot of groundwork to cover.
Yeah, I mean, really with the Orianna pickup as well as the Lulu, we're looking at a composition that I think needs, a good 25 minutes to come online. And 269 with the composition they picked up, there's no way they're going to be sitting back, for a good 25 minutes, not throwing the gauntlet down to Phat Ultimate, saying, come fight me, come fight me, come fight me at Dragon, come fight me, just 2-on-2, 1-on-1. Let's not, beat a dead horse, right? The point has been made. The point has been made. Phat Ultimate are going to absolutely need to find some way to stall long enough for their composition to come online.
Yeah, and we'll see what kind of impact Tarzan makes as well. The last time we saw him, like you mentioned, on that Nidalee jungle, it didn't work out too well for him.
Yeah.
And now going up against such a high gank impact jungler, such as Zac, he's gonna find himself in a very ridiculous position to try to match that out. And I really like this movement coming from him, going in, spotting that one out, and gonna try to steal away the Gromp as well. So pretty good move on his side to deny Heaven, and I think that's the only way that you can really try to stop the jungle ganks from Heaven right here, which is to counter jungle, deny him from experience, and to force him out of his own jungle so that he's really uncomfortable at this stage.
Yeah, for sure. A good job by Tarzan to get eyes on the Zac. Knowing where he is gives all the lanes a bit more breathing room. You can see once again B1 very, very proficient even on these, late game champions that are, supposedly not the best at having lane presence. Once again, having a ever so slight CS lead, but it's there, right? The Kog'Maw not quite facing the wrath of Celebrity and Sir's Grave and Leona combination just yet.
Yeah, level 6 is going to be a very troublesome situation for B1 and Terrador. We'll see how that one plays out. Then again, we did... Oh, well, that happened.
Nobody saw it.
Nobody saw that, but our cameraman captured that one. So, a bit of a small embarrassing moment for Tarzan, but no problems. He's just gonna go back up into the top lane thing to go back to his Cruxes. Heaven's gonna take out the Sculler Rift for himself. Yep, there we go, and perhaps even move towards the Dragon area. We do see Celebrity as well as Cirque just aggressively shoving up the wave. B1 getting taken down quite low as well, down to about a third of his HP. I believe it was the trade coming through. Celebrity down to about a third of his mana, so must have been spamming those buck shots in to bring B1 low and to keep them in a very uncomfortable range as well. Yep.
In the mid lane as well, pretty even. All lanes actually quite evenly matched. Now top side, about 1 minion wave advantage going to Lucas.
Yeah, but that's about it.
And that's pretty much the tale of the lanes at this moment. Level 6 will indeed be a big point, especially for 269. That's really when they can start to bully around Phat ultimate, especially when you're talking about the likes of, you know, Tarzan not having a true ultimate as compared to Heaven. I think that'll be a big level 6 point. Orianna as well, really, even though she has her ultimate, it's not quite the displacement that, say, an Emperor's Divide can have, that zone control over, say, the likes of a Dragon. So I do think once the level 6 point is hit, we should see 269 transition to a more aggressive phase if they don't start to bring that online already.
Yeah, that's right. They're just pretty much playing right now for that level 6 mark and to get as much farm as possible so that they don't fall behind. And we do see right now it is going to be Tarzan on the back end here trying to scout out Celebrity as well as Cirque. And he's going to get spotted by the ward down there though, so I think Celebrity and Cirque having full knowledge of that one's going to be a bit more defensive from here and back off for now. As let's look at where Heaven is. He's moving towards the bottom lane as well, so looking for that counter initiation, that counter attack here, as it's going to be a level 5 Tarzan against the level 5 Heaven. Both of them not quite hitting that ultimates as of yet, and Tarzan really taking his time there, but has decided to move off of that now, so not going to waste any more time sitting around that brush.
Alright, so the possibility of action drops a little bit. We do still have Heaven in that brush though, so his teammates have communicated to him that the upper one is warded. He will be hanging out, just chilling out for a little bit. TP coming top for Lucas. I wonder if that will be the trigger for 269 to trigger a teleport play of their own. Get a strong 4v2 even in bottom side, 4v3 at most, and then go for the dragon after that. I think that would be quite a strong play. We'll see whether or not King J makes that teleport move. Tarzan are doing a good job though, just working towards his enemy jungle when his lanes have been pushed up. You can see both Imba as well as both Tier and B1 slightly past the river. Now they're going backwards as he moves out. So a good team effort to just move past the river as a team.
So Phat ultimate buying that 500 gold lead by themselves. So I think with the combination of the CS difference up in the top as well as the bottom lane, it's going to help them secure that one for the time being. But nothing too substantial to bring home to talk about. And I think Phat ultimate is just going to be quite happy with what they're doing right here. Similarly to what they did in game number 1 as well. So buying their time. So they cannot tunnel into that greed though. And we do see a bit of a gank happen in the mid lane. Beyond take a huge chunk of damage right here. Gonna see some return damage from those soldiers as well, but again, you know, not gonna be able to bring Beyond down to you know, potential death range as of yet.
Yep, so far so good for Phat ultimate. Looks like they are the ones who make their way towards the first dragon. Good roam from Lucas actually to chunk out Beyond that low. That is giving B1, or excuse me, Imba a bit more bully room in the mid lane and keeping any kind of wandering eyes from the mid side to come towards the Dragon Pit. So Phat ultimate playing out game 2 similar to game number 1, very much so. Getting the first dragon, good job by them. A little bit, I have to say, a little bit disappointing from 269 to kind of let that happen so easily. Again, they have already hit their level 6 points. Might have been a good time to contend for it, but you know, one dragon, not the end of the world for either team.
Yeah, and you know, before we jumped into the game itself, we were talking during the pick and ban phase about the whole Juggernaut strategy, right? That there's a lot of protection for you know, Kog'Maw right here. So while there is that temptation for you to just go drop all in onto him, you gotta be mindful of the kind of protection and the kind of utility that the rest of the team actually brings to the table right here. And I think that's actually what's stopping 269 right now. But here comes Heaven on the back end though, gonna bounce there right into the face of Zotac 269 right there. A bit of a miss there because kind of bouncing him out of the collateral damage, but still a lot of damage stacked up on their end. And first blood is gonna go over to Cirque, the support player right here. A kill is still a kill.
Yeah, this game number 2 is playing out pretty much exactly like game number 1. First dragon did go over to Phat ultimate, but in terms of the gank, Heaven is the more effective one, gets the first blood for his team. Again, there's that 800 gold lead which we saw in game number 1, right around this timing as well. Lucas doing a good job of being annoying towards King J. He will be able to get a fair amount of damage down, but it's all about the cooldowns, and King J's has his up while Lucas doesn't.
It's got to be careful though, still in that damage range of that Van Fu Maelstrom, so it's going to take a whole chunk of damage by himself as well. So if you're looking at the overall grand scheme of things, I felt that it was actually King J that won out because he's going to be...
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's going to use his passive to regen himself back up. And like we see right now, Lucas has to go back to base. And that Catalyst is also going to regen King J up nice and easy. So that's going to add up to a 10 CS deficit already formed up in the top lane.
We see both Tarzan as well as Tier. Oh,
yeah, down at the bottom lane, we do see the dive down onto B1. So kind of sticking around a bit too long there. The support player not quite there to help him in that one. So once again, Phat Ultimate playing the lackluster vision game this time around. We do see a 3-man attempt moving around. Heaven just dodges that death sentence out nice and easy. And here comes the shockwave though. On the back end, they are going to try to dive down to Heaven. He is now down into the blobs, but there's still not enough damage as of yet, I feel. And takes a while, but Imba finally does that.
A nice job by Imba to use his command shockwave right there to cancel out the jump. Forces the flash, easily followed by the flash of all the Phat Ultimate members. And this is a nice adaptation from Phat Ultimate to control the Zac. They realized, or maybe I'm giving them too much, benefit of the doubt, but Heaven has still been fantastic hitting the lanes, right? He hit bottom, got the support, hit bottom, got the AD carry. But we've seen little attempts by Phat Ultimate to get vision of him in the jungle itself, right? We've seen multiple invades coming out from Tarzan with his middle speed. This time he brings Tyr as well as Imba with him, and they manage to pick up the kill. So, if you're not going to be able to stop him when he reaches the lane, get eyes on him before he even gets to the lane. And that's one way to do it.
Oh, here we go now. Beyond's going to try to trade against Celebrity right here, and the Phage as well. Sheen definitely doing a lot of work right here. So bring him down to quite low.
Whoa.
We'll have a replay now onto the death on B1, and looks like it was just a very nice and easy dive onto him, and he had no way to escape out of that one. So remember guys, when you're playing Cockmore and your support is not there to help you, don't stay around the turret range, especially when you have Leona and Zac diving around you in that very tight corner.
Yeah, I must say I'm really quite impressed with the way Sir has been playing his supports. I mean, of course, there have been multiple windows that have opened up to him, both in game 1 and game number 2, but him and Heaven have been working fantastically together. Again, cast your mind back to game number 1, where they were fighting around their mid-tier 1 tower, and Heaven drops so low, gets Lantern out, immediately jumps back into the Elastic Slingshot, and then there's this Lantern Elastic Slingshot play, multiple times within that fight even, and then throughout the rest of the game. This time, Leona is a bit more, all in, doing a fantastic job. Says, I'll take up the tower, Evan coming after me along with Celebrity, pick up a very, very easy kill on the Kog'Maw. With Dragon coming up in 1 minute, and how much pressure bottom lane for Phat Ultimate has come under, I do think this is where 269 will start to say, all the dragons, ours now.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the case. If you cast your mind back to game number 1, that was actually the falling point for Phat Ultimate, I felt, because they just got too impatient at the second dragon, didn't want to give that one up to Zotac 269, and that was when everything just went downhill for these guys. And we did see the blue buff donate go over to Imba there, so with Tarzan picking up that Tear of the Goddess, I don't think he's going to face any mana issues or whatsoever, so going to give that one over to the more needy member on the side of his team. As 30 seconds to go, Dragon's going to come back around that timing. Celebrity once again just shoving up the wave, making sure that B1 and both B1 and Terra, if they want to respond to that Dragonfall, then they have to sacrifice a huge bunch of minions right there. King J, they're going to defend, in fact, the blue buff to help Beyond pick that one up for himself. A lot of attention being drawn to this blue buff area though, and Dragon's going to come back around 5 seconds time. I don't think you actually want to stick around there, Tarzan. He's just going to try to deny the blue buff away though. So King J is just being a huge bodyguard in the back end, but we do see now once again B1 just taken down solo. Cirque almost going down again, but he's just going to survive for now. In Heaven, is he going to jump back into the fight here? He's going to jump back. Oh, here we go now. Terra's going to be the target here, and King J getting the TP in. Is going to get the final tick of damage now onto Terra as well. And here comes Tarzan on the back end. The Javelin's going to get flashed away from him. Not enough damage on the side of Phat Ultimate to clean off the fight off of that. And with 4 members alive around the vicinity and Beyond joining them as well, that's going to be the second dragon going over to them.
Yeah, once again, I have to say I'm very impressed with preemptive a zero right there to just zone out the members from Phat Ultimate. Quite effective in doing so. I think everyone will be able to evacuate. Ooh, Celebrity dropping a little bit low.
Oh, yep, he's going to go down there. And the second Javelin is finally going to land onto King J here. And a double kill now for Tarzan. A lot of damage stacked up on his end and finally paying off. And Phat Ultimate adapting well on the fly, you know, giving away the dragon, but getting a couple of kills down for themselves.
Yeah, Beyond will definitely be, you know, a little bit sad at how his Emperor's Divide actually left a little bit of opening right at the ramp for the members of Phat Ultimate to squeeze through. They get the tower as well, so Phat Ultimate making good on the objective games. If they get this bottom one as well, that's actually a bigger win for them than just losing that dragon. Again, they already had one, so if anything, the dragon score tied up, but Phat Ultimate jump up in terms of the towers.
That's right, the objective game here, you know, I think it's safe to say that this is the Phat Ultimate that we are a bit more used to seeing, you know, just getting a firmer grasp towards the objective itself, not overly impatient when it comes to challenging objectives, and even that if that even if that you know, objective gets taken away, what's the best they can get out of it? They are certainly channeling that sort of strength right now, and you know, that's earning them at 1.3 thousand gold lead. Tying up the kill score as well is definitely a good sign to have. Problem though is that B1 hasn't been able to pick up any of those kills, even though he has picked up the Trinity Force for himself. So they might want to start channeling some of that kills over to him. Good thing though is that, you know, some of the kills has been going to the key members right here. Tarzan, let's see what's going to be the next path going to him, and Imba as well. You know, that Orianna in the mid lane gonna have a lot of zone control up on his end, so it's quite crucial that he picks up a couple of kills as well.
Yeah, we talked about how, you know, 25 minutes plus or you know, around 30 is exactly when Phat Ultimate would need to buy that much time from.
That's right. We're going to see if King J does eventually go down here. Righteous Glory getting popped up on the top end as well, and Heaven is going to come to his aid of the top laner here. So I think that might be the end of the engage. We do see in the mid lane a bit of a brawl happening as well. Imba's going to be the survivor off of that one. Solar Flare going to get dodged out of as well. Will Imba go down? Yes, he does. And it is Heaven coming in with the slingshot and smiting him down for the final take of damage. On the back end, King J is going to pick up Lucas. Tarzan's going to go down. A splash and a block from Heaven is going to secure that one. B1 finally joining the fight over here. Is going to look to reposition himself. Does get that one. Going to dodge out that one as well. We do see Heaven flashing in on to the back end to get that Let's Bounce in. Heaven taking so much damage from the turret though. And I think they are going to back off for now. Very good defensive techniques used from both B1 and Terra.
What?
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one though.
Oh,
B1's going to come around, use the box to zone out Zerg as well as Celebrity. There is a lot of range from B1 though, so that's going to earn him the kill down onto Heaven.
You know, Chris, that kind of mad Zac play really only works when you bring it out the first game.
Yeah, we're gonna have a replay of the action that the little piece of action that we missed out in the mid lane itself. So it started with the Sand Soldiers, but look at the burst damage that was saw, from Imba right there. Even though he missed out that command shockwave.
Actually just a bit of a mistake right there from Beyond, due to the fact that he didn't get his shield actually from his transfer to the Sand Soldier, excuse me. This is actually quite nice from Heaven, using his ultimate back, bouncing both tier as well as B1. But the in terms of the aggro swapping for the tower, Sir didn't tank it up. Heaven was still tanking that up, which wouldn't have been a problem because he still has his passive and they had committed to the dive. Ooh, Tarzan gets caught out right here.
Yeah, that's right.
But that was the first time that Sir and Heaven looked a little bit out of sync in this series. I was just complimenting them, you know, previously about how much on the same page they were. Again, with the Zac passive, that's very diveable, right?
Yep.
They should have just committed to that while Zac still had his passive. Very strange and awkward for Heaven to go back in after that passive had, you know, or just without the backup of Sir, rather. Yeah, kind of the first time we've seen these two been quite out of sync, but I don't think that will be all too much, too damaging to the morale or momentum of 269. But what it has done is given a bit of breathing room once again for Phat Ultimate, and every breath of fresh air that they can get, you know, it's time that is ticking on the clock. And they've managed to keep the gold within a respectable amount, in fact being ahead by a little bit. Dragons are even, they've got the tower lead in fact. And this Orianna we talked about that needed, you know, time, as well as about 2 core items to get going or so. 3, 1, and 2 will most likely be getting the second core item around 22, 23 minutes. And that will go very, very nicely to, you know, make that competition come together at around 25 minutes.
Alright, we're going to see a replay of how Tarzan actually got caught out. So he was right here around the blue buff, trying to take out the wolves right here, but there was just too many members, sorry, that was collapsing down to him. So he just, just tried to tried to counter jungle without any form of vision whatsoever. So gonna get punished for that one. Remember, for you guys, if you want to counter jungle, remember to buy wards. Go in deep on that one before you actually start on any camps.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So with the top lane and as well as the bottom lane turret going down on the side of Phat Ultimate, we might see a small switch of strategy come through from Zotac 269, but we do see the dragon coming back up in about 5 seconds or so. So we'll talk about that one when it comes around. And we do also have Lucas up in the top lane, just shoving very aggressively down to the turret. So gonna get that counter push himself as he's looking to go back into space. He does have the TP up though. So Zotac 269 already doing so much damage to the dragon, so that's gonna help them pick them one up nice and easy. Command Shockwave onto the back end. King J not gonna pick up the kill, and Sir diving all the way into the backline, so getting chunked out so low. And B1 gonna pick that kill up for himself. Zotac 269 is gonna back off of that for now. Tarzan is gonna look to land those javelins. Terra's gonna zone out the rest of Zotac 269 as well. The living artillery is gonna come back around. Heaven's gonna come in. That bounce comes around as well. Not enough damage on the side of Zotac 269 to re-engage onto APU for now. Sand Soldier's gonna come in, not landing onto tier as well.
Zotac 269 needs to remember that this isn't game 1 anymore. They aren't as fed. Their front line isn't as fed as they were in game number 1. They can't afford to solo engage. We saw what happened right there. Sir goes in alone, gets blown up. Heaven goes, oh, beautiful from beyond.
Yeah, that's why he's gonna use the Emperor's Divide to try to push some of the members back. That's gonna earn them 2 kills in succession. But the turret has gone down on the side of Zotac 269. The shutdown goes over to B1 as well, and with 3 members coming back alive, will we see more action breaking out? Don't quite think so. As Zotac 269 just has their focus, has their eye right now onto the turret right here. Celebrity gets hooked in. The Righteous Glory comes around yet again. B1 getting chunked down on the back end right here. Celebrity gonna have that face of the Mountain Shield to actually block out some of that passive damage from Kog'Maw right there. So a bit of action back and forth. Both teams making mistakes here, but it is still Phat Ultimate that got the better of that one, I feel.
Yeah, back to my point on how 269 need to be careful that they don't fool themselves into thinking that this is game 1 all over again. There are many, many similarities, and it is indeed a very similar game. But in terms of the power levels, 269's frontline really isn't as fed as they were in game number 1. Sir can't afford to go in alone like that. He needs a buddy. Neither can Heaven or King J quite fully engage on their own just yet. We saw Heaven go in there with a fantastic engage onto 4 members. But you know what? We're grouped up because they had vision of King J as well. And they knew that if Heaven came in alone at this point in time, they could focus him. And they did. You know, they made him leave the fight extremely quickly, even though his positioning was great for a Let's Bounce. It was just himself exiting from the fight right after he engaged it. So 269 looking a little sloppier in this game number 2. And that's also credit to Phat Ultimate to say, you know, we don't need to take the fights at unnecessary, or we don't want to take fights at unnecessary timing. So they've managed to avoid fights that are rather unnecessary and really take only the ones that are super necessary, like defense in their own jungle or around Dragon Pit.
Now we'll see if this is a necessary fight. The Lucas on the back end, gonna get pushed back with the Empress Divide. This one is huge for Zotac 269. That was exactly the fight that they were looking for. And they are going to try to tunnel in onto Imba once again. He's taking a lot of damage. Is he going to go down? Yes, he does. Who picks that one up? It's going to be Heaven. And a huge flay coming through is going to keep Terra alive for now. But right now, down on the other end of the map, we did see B1 pick up the kill onto Celebrity as well. Sir almost going down to that living artillery. And he's going to back off for now. There is just not enough numbers to cover him off of that.
Huh. Quite interesting. Once again, I think Phat Ultimate are being much smarter about this game, really only fighting where they need to.
that was a really nice fight from Zotac 269 though. You know, the
Yes.
Emperor's Divide, sealing off the entire corridor.
Exactly. If not for Beyond's amazing Emperor's Divide, Phat Ultimate actually picked themselves quite a good fight. You know, using the small space with the Orianna as well. I think they had good positioning on Celebrity. He never made it into the team fight itself, I think. Was soloed out at the side, if I'm not wrong. But Beyond really showing, I don't know why he hasn't played this Azir, you know, at times. I guess his Seraph, especially with the power state of Azir, would be a safer choice. But he's clearly very proficient with using the Emperor's Divide. And if Sir had gotten that blue, that would have been a bit silly. But blue buff on Orianna, it's very easy to keep chaining those dissonances.
Oh, yep, there we go. Now Cirque is...
This is actually a big problem. Now that Orianna is going to be hitting Rabadons as well as Void Staff. You know, we said 25 minutes onwards, this Phat Ultimate composition is definitely going to turn itself on. And has 269 done enough?
Well, the thing is, something that we haven't quite pointed out over the course of the game, and you know, we're pretty much focusing on the action that's breaking out across the board, is that I think Zotac 269, they have a plan, which is to drop down deep vision onto Phat Ultimate, catch members when they're not grouped up as 5, because that's where the Juggernaut strategy is going to be the most efficient, and then pick them off, making sure that the pieces of the puzzle never come together. And that was effectively what we saw from the previous fight, where we saw actually I think it was Lucas as well as you know, Imba as well getting picked off right off the bat, and even this one as well. You know, look at this. They're gonna chase down to Terra. There's the red buff from Celebrity as well. That's gonna take down the members one by one. And to add to illustrate that point, you know, look at the item build that Heaven is going on right now. He does have that very early side stone that he picked up at around the 20-minute stage to help the rest of his team to secure vision around the field. And you know, he's quite flexible. He's going to be able to drop in a deep ward, use that elastic slingshot, and then get out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Vision, something that 269 has obviously had the upper hand on with the double side stone. But something else that I'm quite glad to see is Beyond's Azir pick will mean that even though the composition for Phat Ultimate will get scarier and scarier as this game goes on, the Azir will give a fair bit of control, a fair bit of late game scaling as well. And it's just, again, similar to game number 1, where it does feel that in terms of the front line, quite big still, you know, 5 kills and only 2 deaths on both King J as well as Heaven. But it's counterbalanced this time by a lot more kills on some of the members on Phat Ultimate side. The kill score at the end of the game, guys, from game number 1 was 29-6.
Yep.
Right, nowhere close. There wasn't that kind of gold income available to Phat Ultimate, but this time around, 5 kills onto the Orianna, 4 kills onto the Kog'Maw. You know, they've got a fair amount of items as well.
Yeah, that's right. And we did see Lucas up
Whoa!
in top lane. Here we go now on the back end once again. Imba just getting caught out in a super awkward position, and B1 now on the back end, gonna get chunked down by the Sand Soldiers once again, and taking a fair chunk of damage on his own end as well. So it's gonna make it a 2-for-1 exchange in the favor of Zotac 269. Once again, you know, the whole play about vision, and you know, the Juggernaut strategy only works if you fight as 5 guys. Come on, Phat Ultimate, you gotta understand your composition.
Yeah, that was very, very strange from Imba. You know, again, I think we just have to be, we should point out, I think, we must be honest with our viewers that really any professional player out there who is going to burn a flash, or burn the flash right at the same time as Beyond did, you know, you have that flash timing as well. It's such a low percentage play on a champion like Orianna to flash, move your ball, first of all, you know, and then use your ultimate. There's so many windows for the enemy champion to flash away from that.
Yep.
That's all Beyond did. Then turns the tables on him, uses his Sand Soldier, gets in behind him with the dash, Emperor's Divide. It was just too easy. And Imba, man, does he have the items to really, you know, present a big problem to 269, but he can't afford to be going for those low percentage plays.
Yeah, and Cirque right now might be caught out a little bit. Does not quite connect onto Cirque though, and I just really like this play from Zotac 269, the adaptation coming in. You know, off of that fight in the mid lane where we start to see the preview of the Juggernaut strategy come into play, they say, well, you know guys, it's time for us to corner them, make them, you know, fight in a very awkward spot, and that's where we're going to start winning the fights. And so far they have been doing that quite well on their own extent. But right now we finally start to see the Phat Ultimate squad grouping up for themselves to make this Juggernaut strategy work. Is it going to be too late though? We already saw how painful Beyond is with those Sand Soldiers chunking down Tarzan just off of 2 Sand Soldier attacks.
This is the scary part, right? Because in game number 1, where it was King J and Heaven kind of doing all the heavy lifting, which is, alright guys, you know, we're so fed, we're so ahead, we can just engage for you guys. That is still present for 269 as a strength with this competition, and how far ahead they are. Tier will flash away.
Yep.
Gonna miss the return hook. But on top of that strength of hard engage, they have Beyond with the poke now as well. And if you recall, this is the guy that loves to play Zeref, right? So he's all about, give me time to poke, guys. Give me time to poke.
He's just gonna be happy to, you know, command his Sand Soldiers, go in, get a couple of attacks in, you know, and just walk out of there. And
exactly. It's a big problem because Unfun Ultimate are still dealing with the problem of the hard engage. Layered on top of that is the Azir poke that's going to be coming in. And
the Baron buff.
They've been scared away. Elixir of Iron, man, it's going to happen, and then it might be lights out.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the case. I have to say, Beyond's Azir play has been nothing short of impressive. The Empress Divide as well.
Yeah, those have been great.
That's right. Apart from the one that kind of gave the
the little
away.
opening.
The small opening. Other than that, everything has been great. I think great shout out was towards the jungle area, just to block off the entire corridor. We'll see if he does flashy stuff like that again. Flash not up though this time around. So.
Yep, but that flash timing is mirrored with Imba's as well. So if Imba ever gets caught out,
here we go now. The force engaged down onto Tarzan. He's going to be the first one out of the equation. And on the back end, let's bounce once again. B1 in so much trouble. There's just not quite enough shoot to keep him alive. And Beyond on the back end is going to pick up the pieces as well. Imba not around the area. Where was Imba?
My apologies for not keeping track of Imba, but where was he? Where was this 5-kill Rabadon's Void Staff Orianna? My goodness, that was quite a heavy dive coming in from 269. You know, they really committed. Zac passive had to be blown as well. B1 kiting as best as he could. I can't imagine the amount of impact one good command shockwave, a few good command dissonances, command protects would have made in that fight. That could have been a big, big turning point, but Imba just wasn't around.
Yeah, and he's quite the crucial piece of the puzzle as well.
Definitely.
That's right, and that's the other weakness of the Juggernaut strategy. Number one, you gotta endure to the late game stage, which fortunately for Unfun Ultimate, they have sort of weathered the storm and they have reached the 30-odd minute mark. The second condition for you is that you need to stick around, man. The problem is that they've just been always separating. The pieces of the puzzles are not coming together.
Yeah.
And that's just creating such a huge problem. And I really like the engage from Zotac 269 as well, taking out Tarzan right from the start. He's another key piece of the puzzle because his heal gives, I almost want to say Juggernaut. Kog'Maw the attack speed that he needs and the heals, the additional heals as well, and of course the sieging power from the Javelin. So taking that right from the start of the equation is just going to break apart the Juggernaut strategy very quickly.
Yeah, honestly, Imba needs to, you know, he's going to watch this game and realize that there were really two crucial points in the late game situations where he threw away a lot of the momentum for Unfun Ultimate, or the even ground that they had, you know, really been just fighting to buy their time to get to that point. One was the flash, you know, very, very low percentage flash play to try and catch up Beyond. That didn't work, obviously.
Goodness.
And then not being there for a tier 2 dive, especially when the enemy team had just gotten Baron. If you're not going to contest that as a team, you know, nobody goes near that tower. Not 4 members, just 0. But Imba wasn't there, and 4 members of the Unfun Ultimate team just lost out on a 4v5. And now comes the push towards the tier, the inhibitor turrets. All the outers have been removed by 269.
That's right.
If they don't find the perfect Orianna Shockwave, it's going to be very, very difficult for Unfun Ultimate to really hold back this advancing 269 squad. There's the 4th dragon.
That's right, so that's just going to add up, add salt to the wound, I believe. Zotac 269 is just going to march in towards the base right here. We do see Heaven getting caught out a little bit, but he just doesn't care. He's just such a huge tanky blob right now. He's just going to walk in and out of the fight. Celebrity as well as Beyond, they are there now to try to siege up onto the turret. Sand Soldiers is doing so much damage through the front line, or rather the back end of Unfun Ultimate right here. Beyond getting taken down quite low, but I think he's just gonna retreat off for now. Beyond getting the buffs up onto him, gonna try to zero in, but there's just so much worse damage from Zotac 269 that I think there's no way he's going to commit to that one unless he has full vision of what's going on. And meanwhile, as we are speaking, there is that huge wave of super minions that's pushing up in the top lane as well. It's going to be quite difficult to deal with, especially without a B1 around the area.
Shockwave was burnt rather preemptively by Imba in that last push towards the inhibitor turret. But somehow Unfun Ultimate able to hang on to the inhibitor turret so they get another lease on life, but it's a very short-lived lease, right? They have a little less than 5 minutes to do something, to establish some kind of control around that dragon area, because once that 5th dragon buff is in the hands of 269, it will definitely be lights out for Unfun Ultimate. I think the only way they can really make this back is with, you know, Imba having a massive outplay with his Zhonya's as well as his Command Shockwave, and they really do need that last Whisper onto D1. A very, very tall order for him to get that in, again, less than 5 minutes. Basically before that 5th dragon buff hits. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. You see, the problem with Unfun Ultimate as well is that even if they hit that 5-man Shockwave, they are not going to take down Heaven, they're not going to take down King J, these two massive tanks. Yeah, they're just going to be the ones to just create this huge meat wall. And there's that emergency stop button from Beyond as well. If it really gets out of hand, he can just use the Emperor Divide and to restart the team fight from there. So I think pretty much Zotac 269 has this in the back right now, unless they make some kind of fatal error where the members get picked off one by one.
Oh, there's the Elixir of Iron. Here we go.
Now on the back end, Imba's going to get bounced onto the air right here. Emperor's Divide not landing onto anything, but right now it does create this huge wall for Zotac 269 to work with. The damage has been done. The bottom inhibitor has been going down, and Zotac 269 right now going to rotate into the mid lane right here to try to go all tutorial style to take all the inhibitors for themselves. And here we go once again on the back end. Heaven is going to stay alive, and they are going to zero in onto Lucas right now. The Shockwave now comes back around, but the heal comes in yet again. They are going to get the kill, and Celebrity picks up the killing spree for himself. Lucas still looking to stay alive, but the two huge tanks just doing so much work to zone out Unfun Ultimate. Heaven still staying alive, gonna break into the blocks here, but that is going to be the game here. Zotac 269 closes off the series 2-0.
Zotac 269, the team that we thought was most unlikely, honestly, to have strong showings coming out from their rusty or, you know, a bit of a shaky run in Group Stage 1, are making a very, very strong case for themselves. I think they have shown that they are very quick to adapt to this new patch, bringing out the Zac not once, not twice, but with fantastic results. The synergy is already there, right?
That's right.
The number of times he and Sir committed to all-ins, to dives, fantastic. Only one time where it kind of looked quite sloppy. Other than that, they play fantastically around this new champion. Quite a lot of chemistry already established between these guys. I'm excited to see if they can keep it up, though. Let's not try and extrapolate too far. These two games against Unfun Ultimate looked good, though.
That's right, and I just really like the way they deconstructed the Juggernaut strategy as well. Making sure that they had the vision advantage to pick off the members one by one. So, great victory for these guys. They are definitely going to move up in the later stages, I believe. I don't think that's going to update, but you know, do head on down to gpl.garena.com if you want to see the updated brackets as it comes along. But for now, I think we're going to show you what's going to happen tomorrow for Group B2. This time around, it's going to be ISG Legends taking on Saigon Fantastic Five for the very first best of two, following which it would be Aces Fate taking on Saigon Jokers. As the timer ticks down, all these matches are going to be so important.
Very, very true. This is the last series of a very rapid-fire kind of format of the Group Stage 2 of the GPL. Lots of fun games coming your way, guys. And I think it's had a showing. You know, it really has had quite an impact on some of the teams that maybe are used to playing a bit more of a scrappy style. Some teams that we thought were supposed to look really sharp, really, really clean, not quite there. And then the other teams that, you know, have had maybe a bit more experience, again, bracketed experience with these scrappy type of games, flourishing a little bit more.
Yep. So we'll see if that's going to be the trend for now, but this is going to be the end of tonight's broadcast. My name is Chris, his name is Flavors, and we thank you for staying tuned.